Good evening. I'm Terry Kimball, President and CEO of the Chandler Chamber of Commerce, and I want to thank you all for coming to our Chandler City Council Candidate Forum. And tonight, I'd also like to thank each and every one of you candidates for being here tonight to discuss relevant issues that are really important to our business community. This forum will be recorded thanks to the City of Chandler and will be made available on Cox Channel 11, CenturyLink Channel 8502, and Orbital Cable in Sun Lakes, as well as the city's YouTube channel and the Chandler Chambers Facebook channel. And so you can also see those streamed live on those locations. Tonight's questions have been compiled by a group of local business owners, focus groups, and through our social media outlets. And I will tell you, we had a number of questions that came in that we really had to narrow it down. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Salt River Project, Intel, We Serve, Waymo, Edward Jones, Terry McKibben, ECAB, Santan Sun News, and our partner for the evening, the City of Chandler. So thank them all for their sponsorships. Without them, their contributions for this event would not be possible. These sponsors are dedicated to helping our businesses here in Chandler grow. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce one of tonight's sponsors, Patricia DeRoss, Senior Government Relations for SRP, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, as well as our candidate introductions.
Good evening, everyone. SRP is proud to sponsor forums such as this that help educate and engage voters at the local, state, and federal level. Please join me now in the pledge and stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd now like to introduce you to our candidates, and they are listed in alphabetical order. Beth Brazil is a dedicated member of the City of Chandler and committed to public service, problem solving, and forward-looking. While living in Chandler for over 25 years, she has served on the Kyrene School Board. Ms. Brazil knows the complicated work in juggling the needs of a quality educational system and the community. Ms. Brazil is also a successful business owner, Recruiting Connection LLC, which assists in commercial buying and managing of properties since 2001. Christine Ellis. Christine Ellis continually strives for excellence. After spending most of her adult life as a registered nurse, Christine continues to take on the responsibility to care for those in need. She is the owner of several assisted living homes in the East Valley. After the major earthquake in Haiti, Christine co-founded the Haitian Disaster Relief Fund of Arizona to assist her native country. Miss Ellis's willingness for helping the underserved is her true passion. Odie Harris. Odie Harris is a proud United States Army veteran and community advocate. In 2006, Odie created his first backpack drive to help youth who struggle to get school supplies. Over the course of 11 years, he has helped donate school supplies to over 9,000 students. His Ready, Set, Go Foundation offers programs and strategies to help entrepreneurs develop and promote their successes. Odie also recently applied to law school at the University of Arizona. Rick Human. Rick Human served on Chandler City Council from 2008 to 2016, during which time he also served as vice mayor. During his 2 terms, Rick helped the city navigate through the recession, as well as on planning and zoning projects, community, education coalitions, water, parks and recreation. Rick also worked on water policy to assure the city has a long-term water supply. Rick also volunteers for the Desert Cancer Foundation, education coalitions, and local policy groups. Jeremy McClymans. Jeremy McClymans currently serves on City Council. He actively works to promote the economic value of the city. He has been a resident for 15 years, and his business perspective helped him provide innovative ideas to council. Jeremy is the successful owner of Chandler-based Forum Prosperity Wealth Advisors. He is also an active member of the Chandler Compadres and is the Membership Development Chair. He also serves on the board of Kiwanis Chandler Youth Professionals. Mark Stewart. As a current council member, Mark Stewart continues to find new opportunities for innovation in the city. Mark has led community efforts for startup businesses and technology initiatives. He has held successive roles with increasing responsibility at Fortune 50 companies, building brands and business development. His current business, Concept to Completion, LLC, is a digital marketing and startup company. He also volunteers as a youth sports coach with the YMCA, Chandler Little League, and East Valley Baseball. It is now my privilege to introduce you to our moderator for tonight's forum. The Honorable Judge J. Chip Schraney is a Chandler native. He previously served 7 terms as the mayor of Chandler, as well as 2 terms as a council member. In addition, he served 4 terms in the Arizona State Senate. In January 2019, Judge Chip Schraney began his first term as Justice of the Peace in Chandler for the San Marcos Justice Court. It is my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Judge J. Chip Schraney.
Good evening. I want to thank all in our TV audience and our streaming audience, and obviously all the candidates for participating tonight. I want to thank you candidates for joining us during what I know is a busy time with all the worldly events that have occurred with the pandemic. Thank you for being diligent and becoming a candidate for City Council. I am going to outline the rules and the procedures for the forum so that you'll have them, very important. We are heading toward an August 4th primary, and we're trying to encourage our voters to get out and vote again on August 4th. You're going to spend tonight convincing them why they should vote for you. Each candidate will be given a 1-minute opening statement. Candidates drew number early this evening on the order in which they are seated. All candidates will be asked a number of questions with 1 minute to respond to those open-ended questions. No rebuttals will be allowed. This is strictly a question and answer style forum tonight. After all candidates have had a chance to answer the series of questions, we will transition to a lightning round of questions that can only be answered yes or no. Not maybe, not well also, yes or no. We're going to hold you to that. To ensure we remain on schedule, we have a small box here at the podium that will signal a yellow light at 30 seconds left and a red light when you have reached the time limit for your question. So please honor that. In addition, we have a timer that will give you a 30-second and final time warning out in the audience. At the end of the first lightning round, there will be another transition to the final set of questions, lightning round, and 1 minute closing for closing statements. Again, follow the timing rules closely. Follow the yes/no answer rules closely. You'll be judged accordingly, I'm sure. This may be your only opportunity to go before the electorate as a group, and it helps the citizens of Chandler get to know you and to know what you stand for. So candidates, here we go. Good luck to all of you. We're going to begin with opening statements, and on the draw, you were all seated according to your draws earlier. Our first opening statement will be by Jeremy McClymans. They are 1 minute and 30 seconds max. Mr. McClymans.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy McClymans, and I currently serve on Chandler City Council. I'm running for the privilege of maintaining that position. I've lived in Chandler for 17 years and been blessed that my wife and children have always provided unwavering support of my ambition and passion to make our home city a better place to live. This city is a place that my family, friends, neighbors, people that I care about call home, and I believe that with my experience and skill set, I can continue to make Chandler a better place to live for them. With your support to keep McClymans on Chandler City Council, I have the opportunity to maximize the good that I can do for the 264,000 people that reside in Chandler. And quite frankly, that gets me fired up. If I'm able to serve another term on council, I'll work hard to leave a legacy of positive impact that the people I love and the city I love can be proud of and benefit for many years to come. We are all in this together, and I'm all in for Chandler.
Thank you. Next candidate with a 1 minute and 30-second opening statement is Christine Ellis. Ms. Ellis.
Good afternoon, Chandler. My name is Christine Ellis, and I am running for City Council for the City of Chandler. Tonight, I sit here as a privileged woman, an honored woman, that you will have the courage to actually put me on the ballot. I want to thank you all for doing that. My idea of serving Chandler didn't come from anywhere else but from my heart. I've lived in Chandler for 33 years, and the love that I have for Chandler, that's what's making me sitting right here, right now. My husband came here years ago with Intel Corporation to start a new life for his family. We met in Texas, we got married in New York, we honeymooned in the Grand Canyon, and we never left Chandler. Our 2 kids were born here. Tonight, I will hope that you will see my heart for Chandler and you will give me an opportunity to serve, because that's what I do best, which is serve the people I love.
Thank you. The next candidate is Beth Brazil. Miss Brazil.
Thank you, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting this forum tonight. I appreciate that, and thank you for the sponsors as well as for you for moderating this evening, so thank you. I've lived in West Chandler for the past 25 years, and I've always been very involved in my community. I was elected to the Kyrene School Board in 2010, and I served for 4 years. I was co-chair for the Tempe Union High School District PAC that supported their bond and override elections in 2015 and 2017, and was grateful to have the support of the Chandler Chamber supporting our override. I own my own small business since 2002, so I understand the stress we small business owners are under during these difficult and crazy times. My platform centers around sound fiscal policies, especially during this COVID-19 crisis time, supporting our first responders, and providing an open forum communication for all stakeholders. I believe my 18 years as a small business owner and the 25 years community involvement, being on different PTOs, the Kyrene Governing Board, bond and override initiatives, make me uniquely qualified to serve on the Chandler City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Next candidate is O.D. Harris. Mr. Harris.
Thank you to the Chamber, our sponsors, and the city for hosting this event, and thank you to the Chandler residents that is tuning in today. I would like to also thank my fiance who is here in the audience with me. Due to COVID-19, we were supposed to get married sooner, but due to COVID-19, we will be getting married later. But who am I? I am a third-generation U.S. Army veteran, a successful business owner and entrepreneur. I'm an ordained pastor. I'm a community advocate, organizer, leader, and philanthropist. I built a presidentially national non-for-profit, and I have a master's degree from Michigan State University in accounting. Finally, I am passionate, I am committed, I am vested to making sure that Chandler wins this coming up season. And lastly, I will work hard for the Chandler residents, not just during regular hours, but overtime, as I have done in the past. But we're gonna work on making sure that Chandler residents have the top quality life that they deserve. Thank you.
And I do want to point out to everybody, in case you didn't notice, we're going a minute on opening. I guess video staff pre-programmed everything, so everything was timed for a minute. So it's not you, it's the video department. And hey, 1 minute. Mr. Rick Human is next. Mr. Human.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the Chamber and the City of Chandler for hosting this event this evening. My name is Rick Human. I'm running for Chandler City Council because experience matters. My wife, Julie, and I moved to Chandler in 1982 to raise our family. We've pretty much been here ever since. You're going to hear tonight about my experience, everything from stopping line siding going into North Chandler and South Chandler, from stopping super warehouses from going next to neighborhoods, to getting Sunset Library built. My time on the Planning and Zoning Commission, my co-chair of the largest bond election in Chandler's history with no new taxes, my serving on the City Council for 8 years, helping us steer through the most challenging economic times until now. My serving as president of the AMWA, the Regional Water Authority, and setting water policy for the city, and also starting the Chandler Education Coalition, which led to Read on Chandler and the Chandler Science Spectacular. I've also served on the Chandler Chamber Board for 3 years, and I also now back on Planning and Zoning Commission, along with my nonprofit experience as well, serving as treasurer and on various different boards. So I'm Rick Human. I'm running for Chandler City Council because experience matters.
Thank you. The next candidate this evening is Mark Stewart. Mr. Stewart.
Everyone on this panel tonight. It takes a lot to get up here and serve and run for council, so I'm grateful that you all have decided to do that. 4 years ago, I asked the Chandler Chamber, the people in this room, the community, to trust me in trying to create a vision for Chandler that I thought would take us to new places. And I was lucky enough to be elected 4 years ago, and I hit the ground running. I got in the office and got in the chair, and began to work on behalf of all of Chandler, whether that's for businesses, not-for-profits, whether it's serving on various boards and subcommittees. I dove in head first, and I feel like that's my responsibility to serve our community. So from that moment forward, I made a personal mission of mine to make sure that Chandler leads in vision, that Chandler leads in trust, in innovation, and in taking action. And that's really what this is all about. It's about taking action. So in spite of the challenges that we're faced with right now, it's time for Chandler to take action. It's time for us to continue to lead our community and to lead out of this turmoil that we're in today. We will embrace this challenge. We will lean on each other. We will create new opportunities, and we'll continue to dream more. I'm Mark Stewart. I have an even bolder vision for Chandler, and I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Okay. The next section, Council, will begin with the question and answer portion. We're going to have 2 question and answer portions and 2 lightning rounds. So the first question and answer will be 4 questions. The second one will be 3. I think each one of the lightning rounds has 12 and 12. So we're going to start with Christine Ellis on this. This is question 1. Prior to the current coronavirus pandemic, what do you believe was the greatest challenge facing the city of Chandler?
That Chandler was really doing well in everything that the council and the people of Chandler were doing. Our main challenge, I believe, was trying to keep our talents into Chandler, because many were leaving Chandler because of going out of Chandler for higher education, whatever that means. We had a really big issue with getting people to work, because we had so many great jobs here in Chandler. We were pulling people from different places. And so this is one of the things that I would love to work on, which is higher education, keeping people in Chandler, partnering with other schools, bringing wherever that is for them to enter in that level of higher education, and then to keep our talent right here in Chandler.
Thank you. So the next in line for this question will be Beth Brazel. I'll repeat the question. Prior to the current pandemic, what do you believe was the greatest challenge facing the city of Chandler?
Chandler has entered a build-out stage. There are few remaining parcels of land for large affordable housing developments, especially for first-time homeowners. So most of the housing right now we have are for multifamily. So I feel that we need to work on the infill areas and try to build some affordable housing for first-time homeowners and empty nesters. I will work with the city planners, developers, and builders to create innovative affording housing designs. The focus should be on single-family homes, not just multifamily housing. And I also believe we need to find smarter growth initiatives to preserve and revitalize our traditional neighborhoods. Thank you.
The next candidate to answer this question will be O.D. Harris. Again, Mr. Harris, prior to the current pandemic, what do you believe was the greatest challenge facing the city of Chandler?
Thank you for the question. One of the greatest challenges that I feel that was facing Chandler prior to COVID-19 was the build out. People become more territorial of the build out when people start taking on their space. Again, building up, which we have, density issues that is happening because of the fact that we have so many people moving into Chandler. We continue to grow. We continue to have more people here, so we need to increase. We need to increase our fire. We need to increase our public safety officers. We need to increase those that are for those that are in those positions. We need more help because we're managing more people, and so I think it's very important during this particular time. Prior to, we need to make sure that those issues are that supportive service is in place.
Mr. Human, prior to the current pandemic, what do you believe was the greatest challenge facing the city of Chandler?
The city has amazing fiscal policies over the years, and I think the biggest challenge that we have is a combination of keeping those policies in place. That's gone on for many years, our AAA bond ratings, which are so important. But as we get closer to build out, and we're pretty close to it now in terms of residential, and we're getting closer on the commercial side, we need to make sure that we're supporting our infrastructure that's here now. We're not going to have the great big projects coming in with impact fees and things like that. So it's going to be making sure we keep our policies in place, that we can grow in the future the right way. Build out's going to be, like I said, it's going to be very close to what's happening right now. Working with the chamber, making sure our businesses have the tools they need, but making sure that we have sound business decisions. So as we do build out combination with our fiscal policies, I think that's what the biggest challenges are going to be.
Thank you. Mark Stewart, prior to the current pandemic, what do you believe was the greatest challenge facing the city of Chandler?
Well, the panel took all the good answers, but clearly the infrastructure and the build out is key. When impact fees start to go away, we'll need to find opportunities to build roads, to continue building South Chandler, to redo some of our pipes and things like that within downtown and West Chandler and the older parts of town, especially in our traditional neighborhoods. But I see challenges as opportunities. I think we're seeing right now there's going to be a huge influx of opportunity of companies moving to the East Valley, companies moving to Phoenix and Arizona, and with the Chandler Chamber's help, along with our economic development team, I think we are poised, Chandler is poised to win a lot of those business opportunities here because they're facing challenges in other states. We've created a great opportunity in Chandler with low taxes, great fiscal policy, and a good, stable governance that we can move forward and win.
Thank you. Last person on the first round. Prior to the current pandemic, what do you believe was the greatest challenge facing the city of Chandler? Jeremy McClymans.
We've heard it, but it is the problem, navigating the build-out. I was chairman on Prop 493 that supported the passing of our general plan that we used to guide us through the build-out. 88% of our cities already built out, 12% remains, with half already designated for our employment areas. And with such limited land resources, it'll be increasingly difficult for the city to seek effective redevelopment of obsolete sites and best use development of vacant land. The population of Chandler is projected to reach 300,000 by 2040. And so it's critically important that we're strategic about redeveloping and allocating resources to balance the needs of our citizens. This challenge has been further complicated by the complexities of the coronavirus situation. As we work through this pandemic, it is in the economic fallout on the city, we will have to balance the return to strength and activity in the community with protecting the health and safety of our residents, as well as navigating the building. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Question 2, we're going to start with Beth Brazil. Public safety obviously is the greatest responsibility a city has to its citizens. What is the next most important responsibility? Ms. Brazil.
Well, first, I'd like to say that I am very honored to be endorsed by both the Chandler Fire Department and Chandler Police Association. So first responders is very important to me. So keeping them safe, obviously, is the most important thing. The next important thing, I think, is quality of life and keeping our neighborhoods safe and our neighborhoods clean. Our people moved to Chandler because of our neighborhoods, our quality of life, and if we have safe neighborhoods and we have code enforcement so that the neighborhoods that are in the traditional neighborhoods are safe and they don't have as much crime as the HOA or our gated communities, I think is very important. So I think it's important for our city to, first of all, take care of our first responders. We need to hire more policemen to keep us safe and also hire some more SROs to keep our children and teachers safe. But I also believe our redevelopment of our traditional neighborhoods is a very important next step for our city of Chandler. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is O.D. Harris. Public safety is the greatest responsibility a city has to its citizens. What is the next most important responsibility?
The next most important responsibility is economic development. That is so important. And let me share with you about economic development. Being an entrepreneur, being a business person who care about what that looks like. I started a non-for-profit to help people that has the economic disparity between people who are working daily and people who wants to start their own business. We need more revenue, and the way we get more revenue is by putting people to work. How do we put people to work? We help them start their own business. We make sure our workforce is skilled and they're talented and they have what they need. We make sure that the city provide and lend resources to the entrepreneurs so that way they can have what they need. And most importantly, we make sure we build a relationship with the Chandler Chamber and the city so that way no person in Chandler who's a resident that wants to help to start their own business will be left out.
Thank you. Next candidate is Mr. Rick Human. Public safety is the greatest responsibility a city has to its citizen. What is the next most important responsibility?
The next most important responsibility is fiscal responsibility. Without that, we can't exist as a city. Chandler's been great over the years. I served on council before. We were able to get through the Great Recession. We had no furloughs, no layoffs. We had strong policies that really helped get this council and get the city rolling into the 2015, 2016, 2018, all the way till now. So I think it's super important to make sure that we're having those policies, making sure that our business is able to have the limited regulations, that they're able to thrive in our city, bring new jobs into the city, having proper water policy, but all ties back to the financial situation. You can't go out and just spend a bunch of money that you maybe don't have. Chandler's always been really good about that from the time you were the mayor to mayors before that and the council. So I think that's the number one responsibility as a council, is to make sure that we're financially solvent, financially responsible for our citizens.
Okay. Mark Stewart, public safety obviously is the greatest responsibility a city has to its citizens. What is the next most important responsibility?
In a community that Chandler is without the best police and fire, the lowest crime rate in 50 years, kudos and hats off to that. So we can't just skip over that. I think, I take for granted our AAA bond rating. I take for granted the fiscal responsibility that's been handed down from generation to generation that started in Chandler years ago. And it has allowed us to have great things in a great community. You don't win projects like the $1 billion investment by Intel. You don't get Northrop Grumman to stay here and expand. You don't get those kind of projects in our economic development without that type of safety, so it's important. But customer service is the main reason this building is here. It's about treating the community like customers and giving them services that they want and they need and that we promise. So we put our money into a bucket and we ask the city to do things for us so we don't have to worry about it, so we can go out and create opportunity for ourselves and others and do good things. So we do a good job of that here, and we'll continue to move forward.
Thank you. Public safety, Mr. McClymon's obviously is the greatest responsibility a city has to its citizens. What is the next most important responsibility?
Well, it's a few. Economic development along with technology and innovation. Chandler is known as the innovation and technology hub of the Southwest, and we should work hard to maintain that. Our business-friendly environment and lifestyles made Chandler a destination of choice for global industry leaders, exciting startups, talented workers, and their families. We must look inward as a city to ensure we are also utilizing the best in technology to function and deliver services to our citizens. We need to continue to evaluate our internal processes and systems to find innovative ways to drive and push productivity. Productivity is my love language, by the way. But disciplined fiscal sustainability is always frame of mind. I will fight to be responsible for your tax dollars by spending them where they're most effective. I'll always look to find inefficiencies and ways to reallocate those resources into other areas of the city that can make an impact to our quality of life. Like well-maintained and highly functioning utility and transportation systems, public safety, parks, and other recreational amenities are robust, sustainable employment centers.
Thank you. Okay, Christine Ellis. Public safety obviously is the greatest responsibility a city has to its citizens. What is the next most important responsibility?
Chandler have a great model. Live, work, and play. This is what we do when people move from all over the world to come here in Chandler. One of the things that I would love to work on with our police department and with our fire department, it's in enriching our neighborhoods. How do we do that? We provide an environment where they will be able to get the education that they need in order for them to continually work with the people in our neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods right now are growing. There are places where people are living right now that are not acceptable. And there are those places where we go in and it looks like they are really affluent. We would love to bridge that gap and getting people to understand that living in our different neighborhoods is a privilege. It's also a place where you can thrive and all. I would love to do that in the process of empowering the police department with a program that I would love to instill, which is a mental health program to help. I spoke with the judge, not the judge, I spoke with our chief of police, and he told me that 3% of our population that he deals with, 2% of them are mental health issues. So I would love to be able to work on that with them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to question 3. We're going to start with Mr. O.D. Harris on question 3 and then rotate through you. The question is, what are the next steps in developing downtown Chandler and the surrounding area? Mr. Harris.
Thank you for the question. What are the next steps? Number one, as I previously mentioned in my last answer, is economic development. We need to rally the businesses. Many of the businesses right now, they're suffering. They're in a time of displacement, unsurety, and we need to reassure that they are okay. And if we are able to, if we can do this by having a town hall meeting and bringing business leaders and ideals together through the chamber so that we can have these robust conversations so we can get the job done. We need to continue to look at North Chandler as an area of opportunity. I continue to hear conversation buzzing throughout the Chandler Chamber of how important it is for us to look at North Chandler and put some programs and put some tax incentives and put some energy that way. We can't just have a South Chandler. We need a North Chandler, a West Chandler, an East Chandler. We need one Chandler. And one area is built up more than the other. We need to look at the other areas. That is the beginning of what we can do to start having a more robust conversation and building out Chandler in a magnificent way.
Thank you. Next candidate to answer the question will be Rick Human. Rick, what are the next steps in developing downtown Chandler and the surrounding area?
My experience on serving on Planning and Zoning Commission now for over 10 years, my 8 years on council, we've laid out some of the plans for downtown. We've put overlays. Having a public-private partnership in our area is the most important thing. Letting our private sector, we've done that. We've spent money on the road. We've spent money on garages, all these kinds of things. We've put an overlay into downtown to allow the private sector to come in and start to redevelop some of those areas that need to be done. You strengthen that up, not just by the city saying we're gonna go spend a bunch of money, but using the private sector to leverage those kinds of situations. You know, things like at Zook's that's opened up, and Sleepy Whale and some of the things. Moving south now down towards Pecos is super important. By allowing the private sector to do it, keeping the regulations out of the way, is going to be super important to help develop that. Having more home ownership in downtown, where that means more condos, more housing, those are super important things because retail can't survive without the homes and the population being down there.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Stewart, what are the next steps in developing downtown Chandler and the surrounding area?
Well, I think Chandler's already breaking out. You know, you can already see downtown growing up with New Square and, excuse me, some other developments with Flicks. We've got Site 7 that's getting ready to pop. So it's there. We just need to lean on our DCCP, which is the Downtown Chandler Partnership. They're the experts. The business owners in downtown are the experts. They know their customers. They're talking to them every day. So getting involved, I'm involved, mayor and council is involved with their downtown as well as other areas of the community and talking to them directly. They'll tell you what you need. The consumer will tell you what they need to move forward. We're at a place now, especially with this crisis, that we need to be really flexible and assist our downtown partners to thrive. And so if that means getting out of the way, which in most cases is a good thing when government does, to assist, not to hinder, to move forward, we need to just get out of the way. That's my final answer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Jeremy McClymans, what are the next steps in developing downtown Chandler and the surrounding area?
You know, my vision for downtown Chandler is it'll continue to thrive as a center for entertainment, dining, and activity for our residents in our city. I believe that the substantial investment the city has made in downtown in recent years will create a powerful draw in the area for years to come. We've invested millions in downtown Chandler and worked hard to get premier developers like New Square and LGE to take on city-owned sites. As downtown Chandler reaches build-out, it's now positioned for the private sector where it can take it the rest of the way. And it's appropriate for us to shift our financial focus to other critical areas of the city. I've heard North Chandler, West Chandler. And I believe that DCCP will continue to allow the district to thrive and that the environment is created through investment will attract the right kind of private sector momentum that will carry it to new heights.
Thank you. Christine Ellis is our next candidate. What are the next steps in developing downtown Chandler and the surrounding area?
I believe it's a process, and the process may be called more free market solution. In other words, we are becoming more listeners than we are dictators. We don't tell people how to run their business. We invite them to the table and we listen. And there's a process to do that. And the process that I would love to see us as a council employed here in Chandler and continue to do, which is being done now, but we can enhance it more, is through meaningful relationships. How do we bring people to the table from different areas, one teach the other, letting them understand each other in order for them to move forward? Another part is inquiring about new knowledge. Well, how do we do that? Through education. We keep educating new business owners how to do their business, how to go about. Innovation is a great deal here in Chandler, and open more places for them to come in and acquire knowledge so they can take it back to their business. The third one is no fear. We're living in a time right now where fear is literally gripping onto business owner and paralyzing them. And I would like to see that stop. And the last one is develop new strategies. The more every day that we are on the cusp of what's next, that's what's going to take this city forward.
Thank you. Beth Brazil, what are the next steps in developing downtown Chandler and the surrounding area?
I think downtown Chandler is becoming a very vibrant destination area. We are competing against downtown Gilbert with all the restaurants and bars and restaurants that people want to go to make it a hip, fun place to go. So I think that we have done a great job with downtown Chandler. I'd like to expand our downtown ASU and U of A areas, and so we can bring in more adult learners to downtown Chandler. And I also think it'd be important for the surrounding areas to make underutilized public land available for private sector development. Will bring in more opportunities and businesses to downtown Chandler. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes question 3. So question 4, the last question of the first round of long answers, is next. We will start with Mr. Rick Human. The question is, what kind of relationship should the city have with the chamber, and how important is that? Mr. Human.
Serving on the Chandler Chamber Board for the last 3 years, including 2 years on the executive committee, the relationship is super important. It's been a relationship that's gone on for many, many years. I think it's letting the chamber do its roles in terms of working with the business community and having that relationship with the city. They should work in sync together. I think that's one of the most important things. I don't think there should be any adversarial kinds of situations. I think that people staying in their lanes and let the chamber do what they do really well, let the council do what they do really well. And that relationship can bloom and continue to bloom because it's been a long-term relationship. The chamber is over 100 years old. The city's over 100 years old. So there's a relationship that's been there for many, many years. So I think it's super important to continue that, to let the chamber really run the business side of the city more so because they do have the pulse. They've done a great job during the COVID doing surveys, meeting with business people, getting the real pulse of what's going on. I think that's an asset for the city to be able to utilize.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Mark Stewart. What kind of relationship should the city have with the chamber, and how important is that?
When you speak about Chandler, you speak about the chamber. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand when you're talking about the role that the chamber has in our city. We are a city of commerce, and I think it goes without saying that everything we do is in lockstep with moving our businesses forward. It is so important that we have a good relationship with our Chandler Chamber, and there are so many business leaders. I'm a member of the chamber. I help on their marketing committee as well. I tell stories about things that happen in the chamber all the time to people that I run into in the business community. It's a great networking opportunity too, but it's really how I know how to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on in Chandler in the business community. And it's an important factor. There are a number of other factors that come into play when you're talking about the city, but what we are and where we are in our build out, where we are in our growth with Price Corridor and the airport and the other areas like that, it's super important that we have a good relationship with the Chandler Chamber. And I think we do. And it's because of leadership that's on the board, leadership from Terry Kimball and others, that we continue to move that forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Jeremy McClymans, what kind of relationship should the city have with the chamber, and how important is that?
I believe that the Chandler Chamber of Commerce is an important partner to the city as it seeks to foster economic development and is invaluable to this service and to support businesses as they seek to grow and prosper. I could not possibly be more in support of the chamber. I myself, I've been a member for over a decade. I served on the board for 6 years, and I'm past chairman of the Chandler Chamber of Commerce. I'm so passionate about the chamber because I've seen firsthand and been part of all the good the chamber has done to benefit businesses. These businesses are, my family patronizes, my friends and neighbors own and operate. They are businesses that I believe in and I'm thankful for, and they benefit immensely from the chamber's work on their behalf. I believe that maintaining a healthy relationship between the chamber and the city is vital. The city, the chamber, the local businesses, and the people that utilize their goods and services all benefit.
Thank you. Christine Ellis, what kind of relationship should the city have with the chamber, and how important is that?
I believe that the relationship between the chamber and the council and the city should be like a husband and wife relationship. And so in what way should that be? It should be pillow talks. They should constantly be in communication with each other because the chamber is the pulse of the city. The chamber have the ears, the eyes of the business owners in this city. And it behooves us as council members to listen to the chamber and pay attention to the move of where the chamber is going and how they're bringing new businesses into this city for us to know what the next step is going to be in developing this city. The last year and a half, I've been pretty much to every meeting at the chamber, and I've been members of this chamber for years until after we had a big market crash. So I had to scale back as a business. There are a lot of business owners right now who would love to continue being members, but they're unable to just because of economics. So it is important for the city to really be in bed with the chamber.
Thank you. Beth Brazil, what kind of relationship should the city have with the chamber, and how important is that relationship?
Well, Chandler's business success is a reflection of the economic strategies put together with the city of Chandler and the chamber. The chamber, I applaud and support what they've done to bring in businesses, support businesses, small businesses. The reason why we brought in so many businesses from outside of Arizona is because of the chamber's work. The chamber also supports local school districts, both Chandler Unified School District, Kyrene School District, and Tempe Union School District. The chamber understands that excellent school districts will bring in companies into Chandler. That is something that aligns with my core beliefs. So I will definitely work to continue to facilitate the partnership between the City Council and the Chamber, because without the Chamber, we would not have the business growth that we do enjoy in Chandler. So I really appreciate the Chamber's work in business development, and I would continue with that work. Thank you.
Thank you. The final word on this subject is going to be Mr. O.D. Harris. What kind of relationship should the city have with the Chamber, and how important is that relationship?
The old proverb says, "A house divided against itself shall fall." Currently, in my humble opinion, the relationship with the city and the chamber is a bit strained. Both our city and chamber have roles to play in economic development, and one thing we do not want is to duplicate that effort. Business retention and expansion visits, working with the city to recruit and entice new businesses to locate and remain in Chandler, being the political voice of our business community, leading in the promotion, diversity, and inclusion, ribbon cut-ins to help welcome new businesses. These are the 5 things that our chamber does well and better than anyone else in the state. We need to allow the chamber, as Rick said, we need to allow the chamber to do what it does best. We, as a city and a council, need to support that. And I would like to be the continuous voice that mends and bridges that gap. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last question of the first big round. Now for our first lightning round. I will ask a series of questions, and each of you will be able to answer either yes or no only. We don't want any political speak. It's yes or no, where you stand. It's simple, I think. Anyway, I'm going to start with Jeremy, and I will rotate the order you guys go in. I'll try and keep track of that. So first question, yes or no? And I'm not going to repeat the question unless you want it repeated. If you want this question repeated, since we're going pretty quick, I can do it, but if not, I'm not going to. Jeremy McClymans, do you believe the city should take steps to be an electronic vehicle-friendly community?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, for me.
Beth?
Sorry, yes. Sorry about that, Christine. Yes.
OD?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Human?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart? Okay, all yeses. Okay, second question, we'll start with Christine Ellis. Do you believe that Chandler provides enough public transportation options?
No.
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 Yes.
Yes.
Third question. We're going to start with Beth Brazil. Do you support efforts to expand the runway at Chandler Municipal Airport?
I didn't want that as a yes, no question, but. Yes.
No.
Not a one-word answer, but I'll go yes.
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 Absolutely yes.
Okay. Question 4, we're going to start with O.D. Harris. Is Chandler as competitive with other Valley cities as it was 5 years ago?
Yes.
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 Okay. Next question, we're going to start with Mr. Human. Looking through the lens of the current pandemic, was Chandler as prepared and responsive as it should have been?
No.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No.
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 Question number 6, we're going to start with Mark Stewart. Do you support the city's efforts for future bond initiatives?
No.
No.
Yes.
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 Question 7, we're going to start back over here with Jeremy McClymans. Do you believe the city should provide grants to businesses as they do in surrounding cities?
If we get CARES Act, yes.
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 With federal dollars, yes.
Okay. Hold on just a second. I'm getting my order in. Okay. Next question, we'll start with Christine Ellis. Question 8. Do you feel the city needs more bike lanes?
I did not hear that, please.
Do you feel the city needs more bike lanes, bicycle lanes?
Bicycle lane. No.
Yes.
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 Okay. Question number 9. We're going to start with Beth Brazil. Do you believe the city of Chandler should address the lack of internet access for low-income families?
Yes.
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 Question 10. Start with Mr. Harris. Are Chandler's economic development efforts keeping up with the changing economy?
No.
Yes.
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 Okay. Question 11. We'll start with Mr. Human. Do you support merit pay increases for Chandler's general employees?
Challenging question.
We didn't say they'd be easy.
Know that. I'll have to say no in the economic times we're in. So,
I'm not going to answer a question like that deals with families and lives and things like that. That's an irresponsible question.
Chamber submitted it.
I need to see the tax results. I can't answer that question.
I'm kind of in the same line with Councilmember Stewart, but I will tell you, yes, employees are our greatest asset.
Well, yes. Okay.
Yes, for me.
Ms. Brazil.
Yes.
Difficult question, yes.
Okay, last of the lightning round, yes, no questions. We're going to start with Mr. Stewart. Do you feel the city of Chandler should take a more proactive approach to becoming a smart city?
Yes.
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 Okay, that concludes the first lightning round. Thank you, candidates. Told you those wouldn't be easy. Now we will begin the second half of the question and answer portion. We will begin with candidate Mark Stewart and alternate order like we did last time. There is 3 more long-ended questions here before we go to our next round of yes, no. So, Mark Stewart, what qualities do you bring to the city council?
I think the most important thing is that I care. It matters. And good governance matters. When people can trust what I'm doing, that I'm going to answer questions up on this panel truthfully, that I'm not going to answer questions that are way more detailed on a bond or people's lives or their income or the challenges that we're faced with in our city with COVID and everything else that's going on. I think the fact of the matter is that I care, and I sit in this chair and I take it seriously. And I think that's the most important thing that people need to know. And I may not get it right every time, but I can guarantee you that I talk to people, I communicate with the community, I talk to my wife, I talk to my friends, people that I trust, and I try to make the best decision that I can for our community.
Thank you. Mr. McClymans, what qualities do you bring to the city council?
I am Chandler loyal, and I am all in for Chandler. I've served over a decade in our community, served on my own HOA board, currently serving Chandler City Council, Chandler Compadres, Kiwanis, the Chamber, Parks and Rec Board. I've built experience with each endeavor, but more importantly, a deeper understanding of the needs and wants of everybody that calls Chandler home, Chandlerites. More than a year ago, I began raising financial support for my campaign. And, money isn't everything, but I believe that the funds that I've raised, a substantial amount, is people's trust and validation of my commitment and what they see in the fact that I've been all in for Chandler and I live and breathe this community. And that is my greatest strength. And I'm a numbers guy, financial guy, and I'm always going to focus on the bottom line, making sure that we run a smart, efficient government. And so there you go.
The next person that's going to answer what qualities do you bring to the city council is Christine Ellis.
The quality that I believe that I bring is my love for Chandler. I am absolutely in love with Chandler. And I only see good for Chandler. I am here to serve. And I bring my passion with me when I come. I've known, running a business is 95% passion, and the rest is hard work. I've also bring that to the table also. I promise the people of Chandler, I will get up every single day and give you 100% and bring it and leave nothing else on the table. Every time I show up, you're going to get all you have asked me for. One of the other things that I really applaud and love about Chandler is the fact that Chandler has done so much for my family and I. And I truly believe too much is given, much is required. And I'm sitting here to give back to Chandler at this time.
Thank you. Beth Brazil, what qualities do you bring to the Chandler City Council?
The first I would think would be passion. I'm passionate about Chandler. I've been invested in my community since I moved here 25 years ago. That's why I ran for the Kyrene School Board, because I was very involved with the kids and in raising children, and I was very passionate about school. And passion is something that goes with me. So, and I love talking to people. When I was getting signatures before we had everything happened in March, I would spend hours every 4 days a week, and I talked to over 1,500 people just so I could be talking to hear what's important to you. Because what's important to you is what I want to bring to the city council. I'm a very good listener, and I want to hear what's important to you. It's not my agenda, it's your agenda that's important to me. And finally, I think my experience as a small business owner, I've always been a leader in my community, and so my business experience, my leadership experience, and my passion for Chandler, I think are the qualities I would bring to the city council. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth Brazil. What qualities do you bring to the City Council, Mr. O.D. Harris?
Thank you. My friends and my family will tell you that I am probably one of the most compassionate individuals you will ever meet. I'm open-minded. I'm willing to listen. I'm a voice of reason. I don't just assume and jump to a conclusion. I do try to get all the sides before I make a full decision. Also, I've sat on several boards, such as BPI, that's under the Arizona Community Foundation, NAACP, Cahoots, an incubator for an entrepreneurial program. And also, I founded Ready, Set, Go Foundation, which has helped over 1,800 entrepreneurs to this day. And I've been successfully able to scale it into multiple states. So I understand about working with individuals. I understand that we are not always going to agree, but together we're trying to move the city of Chandler forward. I've worked with multi-million-dollar budgets, giving grants to various community organizations, and raising those dollars to give to our community to help those organizations win. I'm not just a person that's sitting here talking about what I've done. I've served my country, I've served my state. Now I want to serve my city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rick Human, what qualities do you bring to the City Council?
You know, in 25 years of being involved with the city, people can see the passion and the rationalization in terms of being able to make decisions. I had somebody say to me one day, "You're a pain in the butt, Human, but you care about the city. That's the most important thing. You bring to the city the passion, the thoughtfulness." We joke in our house when it was P&Z or council, I basically used to say to my wife, "Why don't you go leave for the day, because I'm going to go read." I read everything. And I really have a good knowledge of what's going on. But I also specialized in different things, whether it was my water work, my Chandler Education Foundation. But it's super important to make rational decisions. It was real interesting being on council. People couldn't figure out whether I was an R or a D, which is great, because I make decisions based on facts and the science involved with it, and make the right decisions for a city. Not always going to make the right decision, but I'm going to make the best informed decision. And that's super important. That's why I've been part of the city for so long, why I love the city, and that's why I want to run again.
Thank you. Okay, question 6, we will start with Mr. Jeremy McClymans. What areas should the city look to reduce spending in the city budget?
You know, every year the city must put together a budget, a balanced budget, but this year we actually did it twice. Chandler's economy is well diversified with a larger share of employment in industries that have been less impacted, such as high-tech manufacturing, finance, and insurance. When I'm talking budgetarily, we set up a flexible budget. You know, so if the pandemic is worse than expected, we can make adjustments. But if it's not, we can continue to thrive and lead other cities. And so some of the areas where we are focused and careful is travel and related training. We put all that on hold till the end of the calendar year. Vacant positions are on hold, excluding public safety. Capital projects are being strategically held. Fleet replacements are deferred, and all purchases will be scrutinized to verified necessity. All of these measures will help us minimize the impact of revenue shortfalls. And I'll already tell you, we're 10% under at this point as far as what we budgeted for this year.
Christine Ellis, what areas should the city look to reduce spending in the city budget?
I have been coming to council meeting for the last year, every single council meeting, and I had an opportunity to take a look at the budget. I'll tell you, I don't know where they're gonna keep squeezing it out. The fact of the matter is that we have running a tight ship right now, and it will behoove the city to continue to run the ship as tightly as it is right now. Any other areas that can be squeezed out, I am confident that the staff is well aware of it, and they will make sure that it happens. And so therefore, I will leave it up to the expert to make sure that they look at where it can be tightened and to do so. Because we have hired people that are capable to make that decision. And the fact of the matter is that as council members, we are visionaries. We bring the vision in, and then they take it and they run with it. So it's important for us to give them room to take a look at what's needed for this city at this time of this pandemic that we are into, and then give us the ability to make better decisions for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beth Brazil, what areas should the city look to reduce spending in the city budget?
Well, right now, we're in uncharted territory. We weren't expecting to have COVID-19, hit Chandler, hit Arizona, hit the United States. I agree with what some of Ms. Ellis said, too. I trust the city to come to the council and give us areas where they could cut. There are areas right now they're talking about on hold until we see what's going to happen with holding vacant positions and not filling those. That's something I totally agree with, because we're not sure what we're going to need. I don't want to have to just cut people, but I don't want to be hiring when there's no need to hire right now until we know where we're going to be. Travel is also another area that I think is something that we could save money on, because that's not essential. So the essential programs and services, we need to keep those, and then have the city, trust the city, that people are working in the city to come to us and say, these are the programs that we can seriously cut in order to reduce spending, and trust their judgment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O.D. Harris, what areas should the city look to reduce spending in the city budget?
Thank you for the question. As an accountant, I guess if I had all the numbers before me, I would be able to go through and scrutinize every line by line. But right now, during this pandemic, we need to be very fiscally responsible. What does that look like? Number one, increasing payroll for employees. We can't do that right now, because that's not being fiscally responsible. That's not forecasting budgets. Another thing, we just recently, last year, we raised trash by $1.04. That increase have caused a surplus in our budget. So currently right now, when I am on council, my advisement will be hold all non-essential spending until we are able to make sure that we come to an agreement of what's important and what could be delayed. But delaying is not a denial, but being physically sound and keeping our AAA bond rating is very, very important. And as an accountant, I would look to make sure that we stay fiscally conservative during this tough time.
Thank you. Mr. Rick Human, what areas should the city look to reduce spending in the city budget?
I served on the council, and I'm the only one up here who actually went through the Great Recession, which at the time we thought was the greatest thing that's ever happened in terms of a downturn. What we did was we did ask our staff to go look at every single thing, whether it's new car purchases. I think that right now, other than merits for our police officers and firemen who protect us every day, I think those are the kinds of things that should be put on hold. We didn't have a furlough in 2009 or 2010. We didn't have a layoff during that time. We were able to actually use some one-time money when we got to the end of the year to help some of those employees get through certain things. But using the expertise that I've had, I've run 2 major businesses as a vice president. We're going through the same challenges everybody is looking how right now to make sure that we're saving cash. I think it's super important. You need to look at the different line items, but I also think you need to invest in the future. I don't think you want to stop. One of the things that we did not do during the Great Recession was we had what we quoted shovel-ready projects. There are projects out there, we have cash sitting to be able to keep local people working. And those are some of the policies that we put in place in those years I was on council to make sure local dollars stayed with local in the local economy.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Stewart, what areas should the city look to reduce spending in the city budget?
Doing that. So I think as soon as this crisis started to really kick into gear, one of the first things that I did, and I don't like to talk about what I do, but one of the first things I did was talk with our CFO, talk with our city manager about what are we going to do to scale things back? And that means anything is on the board except for essential services. And essential services are obviously police, fire, and anything's on the board. So what that means is that we have to take into account every single expenditure that we have, and we have to look at it with a fine-tooth comb. We ask our city staff to do that. We have a budget book that's about this big that we have to mow over. I know that they are doing it. They take vision and direction from mayor and council, and our direction has been clearly to make smart decisions as it relates to our budget, make the least impactful decisions to that customer service piece that I was talking about earlier, so that we can still deliver what you expect every single day, and you don't even know what's happening when we cut the budget. That's what we should be doing. That's what we are going to do. And moving out of this crisis, we will be thriving because of that fiscal responsibility from years ago and right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, question 7, last of our long answers. Question 7, we're going to start with Christine Ellis. Christine Ellis. With the Nordstrom recent closing announcement and Sears closing already at Chandler Fashion Center, what is your plan on reviving this economic engine?
Oh my goodness, I don't know where I'm gonna shop now. Nordstrom's closing, Sears closing. I don't know where we're gonna go. What is our plan? I believe that we should really start to develop some new strategies. And this is exactly what I talked about. Not taking into the fear that people are running out of the city, but we need to strategically start planning what we're going to do next and how we're going to bring other people that will take the place of those big sales that we had, really taxes that we had coming into the city. It is important as a council member for us to make sure that we are not really just looking at things just for what in front of us, but think about what's in the future. It is said that our character is our resume. So when we think back on how we make decisions, it's important that we think about who those people are that were working in those places and how we're going to replace their jobs. It's important to me that those jobs are replaced.
Thank you. Ms. Beth Brazil, with the Nordstrom recent closing announcement and Sears closing already at Chandler Fashion Center, what is your plan on reviving this economic engine?
That's a good question, and I live in West Chandler, so it's near where I live. I think even before the COVID happened and Nordstrom's closing, we're going to online. Malls and the malls are closing down, and we have more and more stores. People are going online, and they're buying things online. We need to look at things sort of like what they've done over at the Biltmore and they've done in Scottsdale Fashion Square. They've changed the way those malls look. They're not just an inside mall. They've kind of adapted and they've moved forward with what we are now buying and how our consumers are now working. And I think that's something we need to look at over at Nordstrom's and at the Fashion Square. They've had some areas there that used to be a store, now they have a family complex there, an activity complex. So maybe we look at things like that and we realize that, it's not going to be, Nordstrom's is not going to come back because retail is changing. So we need to be forward thinking enough to see what's the next step, look around us at the Biltmore, at Scottsdale, see what's been successful for them, and maybe bring in some of those policies down to Chandler Fashion Square. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O.D. Harris, with the Nordstrom recent closing announcement and Sears closing already at Chandler Fashion Center, what is your plan on reviving this economic engine?
Thank you. Number one, Chandler is not a city that's going to bail out major corporations. We just don't have the financial capacity to do it. So the plan would be, number one, I would ask for a meeting with the CEO, the regional manager, those that are in charge. That's the first thing I do, because I need to put together an action plan so that way we can have a productive conversation about where are the shortfalls in their business. Number two is this: how can we provide them tax breaks and incentives if there is a possibility for that to happen? And number three is this: we need to ask ourselves, will this go against our AAA bond rating? And if we were to help them, what would that look like from a city position? Reminding you that we only have so much in a surplus, and with a big engine like that, there needs to be more productive conversation. And I will bring the Chandler Chamber of Commerce CEO and others, experts in that area, to have a productive conversation all day. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rick Human, with the Nordstrom recent closing announcement and Sears closing already at Chandler Fashion Center, what is your plan on revising this economic engine?
You know, I live in this plane. I served as a vice president of a department store chain. I'm serving as a vice president on the wholesale side now. I saw Nordstrom struggling 2 years ago. I knew that when the lease was up, it was going to go away. If you look at Scottsdale Fashion Center and what they've done by putting enough residences around there, they've probably added somewhere in between 5,000 and 10,000 units within a mile walking distance. So it's time to revitalize the mall. In our company right now, we're coming out with an emergence plan in terms of what we're looking to do. And it's not going to be the mall of old. It's a matter of taking a look at it. How do we put more multifamily, condo projects, more entertainment? There's lots of land there, and if you look, again, I'm going to use Scottsdale Fashion Square as an example. By putting bodies there, then you have able to do it. The city doesn't need to kick in a bunch of money. You allow the private sector to come in and say, okay, the zoning can change. You need to work with the neighborhoods. What can we do in terms of additional housing there? What can we do in terms of maybe mixed use, office kinds of things? But this is going on across the country. We face in our business every day as we deal with all the majors. So that's really where it comes down to, is using my planning and zoning experience and my council experience and my retail experience to be able to revitalize this situation.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Stewart, with the Nordstrom recent closing announcement and Sears already closed at Chandler Fashion Center, what is your plan on reviving this economic engine?
That a council and a mayor and council can do, and a city staff, along with the Chandler Chamber, is continue to create an environment where businesses want to move, where people want to live, where the economy builds on itself through private investment. That can bring a box like Nordstrom back to life. Listen, I think we all know it. Big box is going to struggle from now into the future. We're going to have to look at innovative. We are a community of innovation. We'll have to look at innovative ways to repurpose that space. So I serve on the National Committee of Economic Development at the National League of Cities. I serve at the Arizona League of Cities Economic Development. I serve the East Valley Partnership on their executive committee. What I will do is have those conversations not only locally, but regionally and nationally to make sure that I'm getting all the best content and best information to bring back to our city staff, to bring back to leadership, within the chamber board, and within our city to make good decisions as it relates to our mall.
Thank you. Mr. Jeremy McClymans, with Nordstrom recent closing announcement and Sears closing already at Chandler Fashion Center, what is your plan on reviving this economic engine?
The city's economic development department and the Chandler Chamber, we've been working with David Moss over at Chandler Fashion for years prior to Nordstrom's, working on how the mall's going to evolve. And one of the plans is to attract more experiential type businesses, things that you can't purchase online. You know, they could potentially take a Nordstrom space and put in a whole restaurant wing with indoor outdoor space, or what you're seeing in Scottsdale and other areas around the country is you know, gyms. They'll take or convert a space to apartments or offices to bring density and bodies to support the businesses in the area. And so those plans were already in work. Chandler Fashion was already working on that. You know, Harkin's new concept that is underway is an example of you know, like a Dave & Buster's type space, experiential type things. And so those are already in works. Chandler Fashion is our retail economic hub, and we need to do whatever we can to help them attract and retain businesses.
Thank you. Candidates, too used to speeches in these chambers.
What is your pleasure?
We are going to enter our last lightning round. I will ask a series of questions of each of you. You will be able to answer either yes or no. Because some of the answers kind of folded together for some of those out in the streaming and TV audience, it's a yes or no answer, but I'm going to call your name before you answer, just to give a little break there, and so folks that are in the streaming or television audience or Facebook Live can know exactly who's voting and what. And they missed a little of that on the first round. We are running about 10 minutes early, which is good. I'll try and work something for all of you on the closing comments. And with that, we'll start with you again, Jeremy, and then we will rotate through like we did last time. So, Jeremy McClymans, yes or no? Do you think there are too many apartments in Chandler?
No.
Christine Ellis,
Can you repeat the question, please?
do you think there are too many apartments in Chandler?
No.
Beth Brazil? Yes. O.D. Harris?
No.
Rick Human?
No.
Mark Stewart?
No.
Okay. The next question, yes, no question, we'll start with Miss Christine Ellis. Do you feel Chandler has too many call centers?
No.
Miss Beth Brazil?
No.
Mr. O.D. Harris?
No.
Rick Human?
No.
Mark
No.
Stewart? Jeremy McClymans?
No.
Okay. Next, yes, no, lightning round question. We will start with Miss Beth Brazil. Does the city of Chandler need more pickleball courts?
Yes.
I don't even know what that is. I'm not sure for sure. Yes.
All right. Mr. Human?
Yes.
Mr. Mark Stewart?
Yes.
Jeremy McClymans?
Yes.
Miss Christine Ellis?
Yes.
All right. Next question, we will start with Mr. O.D. Harris. Do you support building and connecting to the Valley's light rail system?
Yes.
Mr. Human?
Tough. Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Driving cars.
Mr. McClymans?
No.
Miss Ellis?
Can you please repeat the question?
Question is, yes or no, do you support building and connecting to the Valley's light rail system?
No.
Miss Beth Brazil?
No.
Next question, we will start with Mr. Rick Human. Do you have experience in complex or public, or excuse me, do you have experience in complex or public entity budgeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
That was Mark Stewart.
Or yes.
yes.
Jeremy McClymans.
Yes, sir.
Christine Ellis.
Yes.
Beth Brazil.
Yes.
And O.D. Harris.
Yes.
Okay. Next question, we'll start with Mr. Stewart. Do you support stricter zoning ordinances as Chandler approaches build-out?
Yes.
Mr. Jeremy McClymans.
Yes.
Miss Christine Ellis.
Yes.
Miss Beth Brazil.
Yes.
Mr. O.D. Harris.
After the pandemic, yes.
Mr. Human.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. We've got about 5 more of these to go. We'll start with Jeremy McClymans. Do you feel Chandler is a business-friendly place to do business?
Yes, very much so.
Christine Ellis.
Absolutely yes.
Miss Beth Brazil.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. O.D. Harris.
1000% yes.
That's enthusiastic. Mr. Human.
Yes.
Yes, it can get better.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, it can get better.
Okay. Next question.
Everybody, I did.
We'll start with Miss Christine Ellis. Do you feel the current ratio of city reserves the city has is adequate?
Yes.
Beth Brazil.
Yes.
O.D. Harris.
Legally, yes.
Rick Human.
Yes.
Mark Stewart.
Yes.
Jeremy McClymans.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. We're going to start with Ms. Beth Brazil. Do you think businesses should be allowed to operate out of private residences without a license?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Human?
No.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. McClymans?
Yes, within reason.
Ms. Ellis?
Yes.
Okay. Next question. We're going to start with Mr. Harris. Is Chandler's current sign code ordinance too restrictive for businesses?
Currently, no.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Human, what was your answer?
No.
Mr. Stewart?
No.
Mr. McClymans?
No.
Ms. Ellis?
No.
Ms. Brazil?
No.
Okay. Two more. Start this one with Mr. Human. Should the city invest in sustainability initiatives?
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. McClymans?
Yes.
Ms. Ellis?
Yes.
Ms. Brazil? Mr. O.D. Harris?
Yes.
Okay, last of the yes/no answers. Start this one with Mark Stewart. Do you think livestock should be allowed in Chandler's residential neighborhoods?
Livestock?
Chickens, livestock. The real question.
I was thinking cattle. Yes.
Mr. McClymans?
Boo, yes. Yes.
Ms. Ellis?
This is Chandler. Absolutely, yes.
Ms. Brazil?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Harris?
Yes.
And Mr. Human?
Livestock? No.
Okay, this wraps up the question and answer portion of this forum. We'll now go to our closing statements. And since we do have a little time, I'm going to try and give you each a minute and a half. They're not going to reprogram that, so it's going to hit red at a minute, but it'll go 30 seconds in red. So we'll let you go past the one and then go to the 30 seconds in red. We'll give you each a minute and a half. I'm going to go in the reverse order that we did just to begin with. To begin with, we started with Jeremy McClymans. We're going to start the closings with Mark Stewart, who drew number 6. So with that, closing statement, Mr. Mark Stewart.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Chandler. Thank you, Chamber. I want to thank my wife, Allison, who's here with me tonight. I want to thank my kids. Public service is certainly something that I was called to do, but it does take away from other important things in my life, business, and my family, but it is something that I'm committed to doing, and it's something that they help me do, and I just want to thank you. Thanks, honey. I have a bold vision for Chandler. I had a bold vision 4 years ago. I was lucky enough to earn the chamber endorsement, and I'm asking for that chamber endorsement again. I believe in Chandler. I believe that we have a fight ahead. We certainly have a big rock to push uphill to recover from this crisis. But I know our community, the people in this room, the folks that are watching right now, will all lock arms and move forward. And I will do my very best to make sure that we move forward together. Chandler has an entrepreneurial spirit, and we are pioneers. We can do hard things, and we will do hard things moving through this. I see the dreams of our community out in the distance, and I see what we can be when we get through this crisis, and we will. We're going to get through this crisis. We're going to tilt the nose of the plane up, and we are going to take off, and we are going to soar. And that means opportunity for everybody. Business owners, small business owners, our police and fire, our teachers. I want to give a shout out. One of the other things I wanted to mention earlier is one of the reasons we have such an amazing community that people want to live in is because we have such amazing schools. So thank you to all those folks that make that happen. But Chandler believes in community, and I know together we can recover from anything. Just like 2008, Chandler will rise from the ashes and move forward, and we are in a great financial position to do so. So I feel confident that with servant leadership, and that's what I intend to continue to provide, that I will move forward and I will continue to work to keep your trust, which is what I opened up with. I'm your Chandler City Council member. My name is Mark Stewart, and I want to thank you for making Chandler the best city in Arizona.
Thank you. Mr. Human, minute 30, and the clock is now set for a minute 30, so I think at approximately a minute it'll go to yellow, and then at a minute 30 it will hit red, but they do have it on a minute 30. With that, Mr. Human, closing comments.
Thank you for everybody that's here tonight. It's a great panel of listening to different people's opinions on different things. So first I want to thank the Chamber again, the City of Chandler. I want to thank the former mayor, now judge, for sponsoring this or moderating this, as well as all our sponsors as well. Tonight you got to hear a little bit about what I do and what I've been involved with over the last 25 years in the city. Being involved in everything from planning and zoning, proper water policy, helping us get through the Great Recession. I have that experience, which is really important. My business acumen of being a vice president of 2 different companies over these years, my nonprofit work that I've done over the years as well, my work with the Chamber, understanding the issues and making tough decisions is something I've been able to do for many, many years. We didn't get to talk about a lot of different things tonight, so my website is rickforchandlercouncil.com. I also want to shout out to our police and fire who have endorsed me. All 3 of our organizations are brave men and women who serve us every day and protect us every day. I'm very proud to have that endorsement from that organization. Also, you can go to my Facebook page and look for information there. You can call my phone number, 480-961-5455. It's a direct line to me at my office as well. So I want to thank everybody for this opportunity. I'm Rick Human. I'm running for Chandler City Council. Experience matters, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you. Mr. O.D. Harris, a minute and 30 seconds for closing comments.
Thank you to all those that were involved in putting together this beautiful forum. I've enjoyed myself in the most nervous way. But more importantly, when I was younger, my father passed away when I was 14 years old. And being a young man, being raised among 6 kids, my mother had to go back to work very early. She was responsible for taking care of 6 children. My dad died due to Agent Orange. He was a Vietnam vet. My dad and my mom was the first people I seen giving to community. And I wanted that for me. So when I was younger, I started going door to door collecting canned goods to help those that were without. Then I continued on that mission and I decided to become a U.S. Army member. That was important to me. I took an oath and I hold that oath to this day. Yes, I am accomplished. I was able to go to school, get my education, do some amazing things. And throughout that time, my heart to give have always been here. Not even this platform will stop me from giving because that's what I believe in doing. That's what makes me compassionate. That's what makes me the best representation of Chandler can have, a servant leader at heart. Everything I do, I've never done it for awards. I've never done it for any other recognition, a pat on the back. I do this because I love doing this. I would like to represent Chandler because I love what I do. I want to see people in Chandler win. And lastly, my fiance, who's been waiting to get married to me, been patient throughout this whole process, and my children. So Chandler, when you go to vote, think about O.D. Harris. Give a person that may not look like you a chance to represent you. Go to odharris4az.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Beth Brazil, minute and 30 seconds for your closing comments.
Thank you. Thank you for moderating this evening. Thank you, Chamber, for holding this forum. And thank you for all the other candidates on the dais today. Thank you. I am running for Chandler City Council because I am passionate about Chandler. I always put what I get involved in first and foremost. I've been a very successful business owner. I was on the Kyrene School Board, and when I was on the Kyrene School Board, it was in 2010 during the recession. And so we had a way out cutting services and programs and balancing the budget. We didn't want to get rid of teachers. We didn't want to furlough teachers. We didn't want to give them, get rid of their raises. So we were able to work as a team and get that done. I would bring that on to the Chandler City Council. And in a time like this, I think I have a unique perspective. I am very grateful to be endorsed by the firefighters. I have three priorities, and one of them is our first responders, and I'm very grateful to be endorsed by the Firefighters and Police Association. Economic development, using my background, is very important to me, and the final one is quality of life. I love living in Chandler. I love everything it has to offer, and I want to make sure that other people have that same opportunity by having affordable housing for everybody. I've also been endorsed by State Senator Sean Bowie, Council Member Matt Orlando, former Council Member Martin Sepulveda, and Tempe Union High School District Superintendent Kevin Mendeville. There are 6 of us running for city council, and 2 of them are incumbents. I believe that I would bring a fresh, new perspective, also a female point of view. I think that is needed, especially at this day of age. Chandler is bringing in companies from all over the world, and I think that we need to reflect, our city council needs to reflect what Chandler is all about. Again, I'm running for Chandler City Council. My website's www.beth4chandlerccc.com. Please vote for me August 4th, Chandler City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Christine Ellis, do you have a 90 seconds, minute and 30 seconds for your closing comments?
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for putting this together tonight. Judge, you have been in Chandler for a long time, and I have had many opportunities to meet with you and to talk to you. In 2009, when the market crashed, and I went to bed on Monday night, and Tuesday morning I woke up and I lost $5 million. I called your office, and I said I needed help, and you were there for me. You asked one of your attaché to call downtown and get me some help. I'm here tonight asking the people of Chandler to look at my heart and to understand that the reason why I'm sitting here is because of people like this judge right here. It's because he had given me an opportunity to keep having a business in Chandler, and I would love to keep doing that for the people of Chandler. I want you to know that my family and I, we are committed to give our lives to help those that are in need in Chandler. I did not come into words telling you guys about my resume, my past. I believe that's all my past. What are we going through right now? I am a Bachelor in Science in Nursing, and I am in the front line working every single day to keep people from being infected with this virus. I'm doing my best to keep Chandler where Chandler needs to be. I want you to know that my goal is to continually embrace diversity. We are a diverse city, and I want to continually see that happening. And as a woman, I am asking you tonight not to vote for me because I'm a woman, but to vote for me because you understand my passion to help others. You understand my heart to come here and sit down every single day and give you the best that I have to offer. I love Chandler. There's no other reason, no other agenda for me to run tonight. And I want you to know that. And I will continually, every single day, keep saying it. Please go to my website. Please go to my Facebook. You will see all the work. I truly believe that the work that I have done in Chandler is enough, and even more than enough, for you to know where my heart is for Chandler. I'm asking you to vote for the love of Chandler, to vote for Christine Ellis. Go to my Facebook, Christine Ellis 2020. And please understand one thing. In August 4th, when you go into that booth, you will vote your heart. Vote for Chandler because you love Chandler, and vote for Christine Ellis. Thank you so much for your vote of confidence. I really appreciate you giving me an opportunity to serve Chandler.
Thank you. Last but not least, Mr. Jeremy McClymans. Mr. McClymans, you will have a minute and 30 seconds for your closing remarks.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you to the Chamber and the city for hosting this stellar forum. And again, thank you to my wife for your unwavering support. You're the best. Thanks for taking time to listen to my passion and plans for the city of Chandler. I'm so thankful for the many partners in city civic service that have given me their wholehearted endorsement. People like Chandler Mayor Kevin Harkey, Vice Mayor Renee Lopez, Councilmember Terry Rowe, former Mayor Boyd Dunn, and our neighboring neighbor, Gilbert Mayor Jen Daniels. These are people that believe what I believe about public service, that there is a symbiotic relationship between where you live and what you give. It is one of the most rewarding aspects of my life to work hard to serve my community and then watch the fruits of those labors make a positive impact for my neighbors, coworkers, family, and friends. look. And if we continue to foster an economically thriving city, we'll have a strong tax base to fill city coffers so we can afford the best, hashtag the best, police, fire, parks, neighborhoods, to provide an incredible quality of life for all who call Chandler home. I absolutely love serving the city of Chandler. If you trusted us in prosperity, please trust us in adversity as we work through these trying times. We're all in this together, and I'm all in for Chandler. And if you're with me, I'd love to earn your vote. Visit keepjeremy.com to learn more. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Good job. This concludes our forum this evening. We heard some great answers this evening and innovative answers. And I hope this event will give voters a better and a clearer picture of the candidates and who they want to support. Watch the Chandler Chamber's website for the latest in-candidate information. I would again like to thank the Chandler Chamber of Commerce and their sponsors, Salt River Project, Intel, We Serve, Waymo, Edward Jones, Terry McKibben, and eCab, and the Santan Sun News for their sponsorships. And thank you to the City of Chandler for allowing us to use these very special City Council chambers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your interest in this forum and this highly important City Council race. We asked you some tough questions, some difficult questions, but that's what the job is. If you're fortunate enough to get seated behind that dais next January, you will be making a lot of tough decisions and difficult decisions. Comes with the territory. So, again, we'd like to thank the candidates for participating during this busy election year. And I do want to remember everybody out there in the TV audience and the streaming audience and all the audiences to vote August 4th. Very important. It's what this country is all about. So, Chandler, until I see you again, take care and be safe.